Welcome to the Vitality Equation, exploring research in health and well-being one paper at a time. Today, we are diving into an area that is crucial to our daily lives, the intricate relationship between our sleep, our circadian rhythms, and how they affect our interaction with technology, specifically computers. We're talking about optimizing human-computer interaction through personalized sleep and circadian rhythm interventions, a fascinating longitudinal study.
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic. It's not just about feeling a bit more awake at your desk. It's about really fundamentally changing how we interact with the digital world, and in ways that are better for us.
Exactly. And it's not just feeling better, but about how our performance changes. Task performance, user experience, and even more interestingly, how this all affects the development of AI human interfaces. It is a game changer.
So the core of this study is the longitudinal approach, right? Tracking people over time to see how interventions affect their sleep, circadian rhythms, and ultimately their productivity and well-being when using computers.
And the personalized aspect is key. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Everyone has different sleep patterns, different chronotypes, and different needs when it comes to interacting with technology.
Which is where the individual interventions come in. Are they looking at things like light exposure, meal timing, exercise schedules, or even cognitive behavioral therapy techniques?
I would assume so. I mean, to truly personalize it, you'd have to consider all those factors. What kind of data do you think they are collecting? Sleep logs, maybe activity trackers, cognitive assessments?
Definitely sleep logs and activity trackers are the basics. I would think they'd be measuring melatonin levels, cortisol levels, looking at hormone regulation as it relates to sleep cycles. Heart rate variability could give insights on the autonomic nervous system and its reaction to the different stressors too. Then you'd get into brain activity with EEG to see sleep stages and cognitive tests to assess performance before and after the interventions.
All that data. It's a lot to process, but it's necessary to truly understand the interplay between sleep, circadian rhythms, and cognitive function. What do you think are some potential interventions that they might be testing?
Well, light therapy is an obvious one. Using blue light in the morning to suppress melatonin and shift the circadian rhythm forward, and avoiding blue light at night.
Yes, and personalized meditation techniques could be incorporated to manage stress, which inevitably impacts sleep. I'm really curious how mindfulness practices might affect the whole process.
And of course, exercise. The timing and intensity of exercise can significantly affect sleep quality and circadian rhythm. High-intensity exercise close to bedtime might disrupt sleep for some, while a morning workout could be beneficial.
That's right. And then, from a cognitive perspective, you have things like sleep restriction therapy for people with insomnia or cognitive behavioral therapy for identifying and changing negative thoughts and behaviors around sleep. It's all connected, you know.
Absolutely. It is all connected. And thinking about it in terms of AI human interfaces, I am curious about the implications. For example, imagine AI algorithms that can detect your sleep patterns and adjust your computer screen brightness or even suggest when you should take a break based on your individual needs. Personalize your software experience.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Imagine a computer interface that adapts to your circadian rhythm. It could offer more demanding tasks when you're naturally more alert and provide simpler, less cognitively taxing activities when you're feeling sluggish, like suggesting a walk around the block or a quick yoga routine.
Exactly. That's the potential here. And it goes beyond just adjusting screen brightness. Think about the timing of emails and notifications. A system that understands your sleep cycle wouldn't bombard you with messages late at night or early in the morning when you're trying to sleep.
And it could even be applied in virtual reality or augmented reality environments. I mean, if designing a training program in VR, you could optimize the timing of the training based on the user's circadian rhythm to maximize learning and retention.
Oh, that's a great point. Optimizing learning and retention through VR based on sleep cycles. The possibilities are endless. It is like a digital coach.
And it's not just about improving performance. It's also about preventing burnout and reducing the risk of health problems associated with chronic sleep deprivation. We spend so much time in front of computers, it's vital that those interactions are as healthy as possible.
Right. This is a preventative approach, thinking holistically about our health in the digital age. Now, how about we dive into a recent finding that ties in nicely with our conversation, replication of BRI, T1MCPH1, G2M checkpoint function confirms original conclusions.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It's a big deal, right? It reinforces the importance of understanding cellular processes and how they relate to our overall health. What exactly is this G2M checkpoint function again?
Basically, it's a critical control point in the cell cycle. Before a cell divides, it needs to make sure that everything is copied correctly. The G2M checkpoint is like a quality control system that ensures DNA is undamaged and ready for division.
Think of it as a cellular gatekeeper, making sure everything is in order before proceeding. So this replication study, if I understand correctly, confirms that the BRIT1 MCPH1 proteins play a vital role in this checkpoint function, ensuring proper DNA replication. It emphasizes that DNA errors are caught and corrected, or the cell cycle is halted to prevent further damage.
So if this checkpoint malfunctions, what happens?
Well, that can lead to errors in DNA replication, which can contribute to the development of various diseases, including cancer.
Exactly, hence the importance of this replication. It solidifies our understanding of this fundamental cellular process. It also opens up new avenues for exploring potential therapies that target this checkpoint, especially in cancer research.
That's huge. But how does this relate back to our original discussion about sleep, circadian rhythms, and human-computer interaction?
Well, think about it this way. Sleep deprivation and circadian rhythm disruption can cause stress on the body at the cellular level. That stress can potentially impact the efficiency of cellular processes like DNA repair. So, if you're constantly sleep deprived, you might be compromising your body's ability to maintain proper cell cycle control.
And this connects directly to my interest in mindfulness. Stress is a huge factor that affects sleep. By reducing stress through meditation, we might be able to improve cellular health by optimizing sleep and circadian rhythms and indirectly enhance the function of the G2M checkpoint.
Yes, and there's a cognitive component too. Chronic sleep deprivation can lead to impaired cognitive function, which can then lead to poorer decision-making around health behaviors. It becomes a vicious cycle. So, using CBT techniques to improve sleep hygiene and address negative thoughts around sleep can indirectly support cellular health.
It's all interconnected. It's really fascinating to see how lifestyle factors can influence cellular processes. Thinking about it, how can understanding the cellular checkpoint function inform the development of mindfulness-based exercises or meditation techniques? It would be tailored to potentially enhance cellular repair and prevent disease, given the known effects of stress and lifestyle on cellular processes.
That's a brilliant question. I'm wondering if there are specific types of exercise that could be more beneficial for promoting cellular health. Maybe exercises that focus on muscle recovery and repair could be particularly helpful, especially when timed correctly with sleep cycles. Like plyometrics maybe, things that really challenge the muscles.
And from a cognitive perspective, could we use biological markers related to this checkpoint function to identify individuals who are more susceptible to the negative effects of stress on cellular health? That information could then be used to personalize CBT interventions.
Imagine a personalized meditation program that is tailored to specific cellular needs, guided by biomarkers and designed to optimize the body's natural repair mechanisms. This goes beyond just relaxation. It's about actively influencing cellular health through mental practices.
It is so interesting. I think it's time we talked about applications. Let's try to come up with some real-world applications based on the research we've been discussing. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Okay, so personalized workplace interventions. Companies could use wearable technology to track employee sleep patterns and circadian rhythms. Based on that data, they could offer personalized recommendations for light exposure, exercise, and break schedules.
Yes, and they could even integrate mindfulness programs into the workday, offering guided meditations during breaks to reduce stress and improve sleep quality, or create quiet spaces for relaxation. The goal is to create a work environment that supports healthy sleep habits.
That's a fantastic idea. Companies prioritizing worker well-being, which is really necessary. Another application could be in education. Schools could implement later start times for teenagers whose circadian rhythms naturally shift later, and also teaching students about sleep hygiene and the importance of healthy sleep habits.
And incorporate cognitive behavioral techniques to help students manage stress and anxiety around academics, which often interferes with sleep.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe incorporating short mindfulness exercises into the classroom routine to help students regulate their emotions and improve focus, which can indirectly help with sleep too.
Another application that springs to mind is in healthcare. Doctors could use sleep data to personalize treatment plans for patients with various health conditions, such as depression, anxiety, and chronic pain.
Absolutely. And CBT could be used to address sleep problems associated with those conditions. Identify and change negative thought patterns that contribute to insomnia or other sleep disturbances.
And even simple things like recommending specific meditation techniques to help patients manage pain and improve sleep quality. Maybe guided imagery focusing on relaxation and healing.
We are really developing some great ideas to improve lives. How about we pivot and talk about some of the potential challenges and limitations in implementing these interventions?
One of the biggest challenges is adherence. It can be difficult to get people to consistently follow personalized recommendations, especially when it comes to things like sleep schedules and exercise routines. It requires commitment and motivation.
Yes, and that's where the psychological component comes in. We need to understand the underlying reasons why people struggle to adhere to these recommendations. Is it a lack of motivation? Is it a lack of knowledge? Or are there deeper psychological barriers that need to be addressed?
Yeah. And another challenge is the cost of implementing these interventions. Wearable technology, sleep studies, and personalized CBT programs can be expensive, making them inaccessible to many people. How do we make these interventions more affordable and accessible?
That's a great question. Telehealth is one potential solution. It can make cognitive behavioral therapy and sleep coaching more accessible and affordable. And developing user-friendly apps that provide personalized recommendations and track progress can also help.
Right. And there are many free or low-cost mindfulness apps available that people can use to improve their sleep quality and manage stress. It's about democratizing access to these tools and resources.
And of course, there's the issue of individual variability. What works for one person might not work for another. How do we account for individual differences in sleep patterns, circadian rhythms, and cognitive function?
That's where the personalized aspect comes in. We need to use data-driven approaches to tailor interventions to individual needs. And we need to be flexible and adaptable, adjusting interventions as needed based on individual responses.
Right. And it's important to remember that these interventions are not a magic bullet. They are just one piece of the puzzle. We also need to address other factors that can affect sleep, such as diet, stress, and environmental factors.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges and limitations. Now let's brainstorm some potential future research directions. What questions do you think researchers should be exploring in this area?
I'd like to see more research on the long-term effects of personalized sleep and circadian rhythm interventions on cognitive function and mental health. Are these interventions sustainable over time? And do they have any long-term benefits?
Yes. And how can we use biological markers to predict who will benefit most from these interventions? Can we identify specific biomarkers that predict responsiveness to different types of interventions, whether light therapy, exercise, or mindfulness?
I'm also interested in exploring the potential of combining different interventions. For example, what happens when you combine light therapy with exercise and cognitive behavioral therapy? Do you get synergistic effects? Are the benefits even greater?
And what about the ethical considerations? As we collect more and more data on individuals' sleep patterns and circadian rhythms, how do we ensure that that data is protected and used responsibly? How do we prevent discrimination based on sleep patterns?
Yeah, that's a crucial question. Data privacy and security are paramount. We need to have clear guidelines and regulations in place to protect individuals' privacy and prevent misuse of this information.
And how can we use AI and machine learning to develop more personalized and effective interventions? Can we use AI to analyze sleep data and identify patterns that humans might miss? Can we use AI to create personalized sleep schedules and recommendations?
That's a really exciting area of research. AI has the potential to revolutionize the way we approach sleep and circadian rhythm interventions. But we need to be careful to ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly.
Absolutely. We need to make sure that AI is used to empower individuals and improve their well-being, not to control or manipulate them. This requires transparency, accountability, and a focus on human values.
I think also more research is needed on the impact of the social environment on sleep and circadian rhythms. How do factors like social isolation, work schedules, and cultural norms affect sleep patterns? And how can we create social environments that support healthy sleep habits?
That's a great point. Sleep is not just an individual issue, it's also a social issue. We need to create communities and workplaces that prioritize sleep and support healthy sleep habits.
Yes, and this requires a multifaceted approach that involves individuals, families, communities, and policymakers. We all have a role to play in creating a society that values sleep and prioritizes well-being. Speaking of that, I've been thinking about how understanding the genomic taxonomy of Corynebacterium diphtheriae strains, specifically at the level of link codes, could inform the development of more effective cognitive behavioral therapies, CBT, for individuals with obsessive compulsive tendencies, which can sometimes be triggered by perceived threats or infections.
That's quite a leap. But I see where you're going. The line codes represent a level of granular detail about the bacteria. If we could, hypothetically, map certain cognitive responses to specific patterns, maybe CBT could be more precisely targeted. It's very theoretical at this point, though. I agree, Sarah. It's important to find a way to find effective sleep cycles to prevent issues later on.
The intricacies of the line codes for Corynebacterium diphtheriae strains seem to reflect the complex interplay of biological and psychological factors. It could be interesting to research.
Yes, it seems that there is a relation to genetic factors. I wonder if different meditation techniques could affect the microbiome in ways that would help prevent the spread of C. diphtheriae. Maybe focusing on specific breaths or mental imagery could subtly shift the gut bacteria composition, potentially influencing susceptibility.
That is an interesting idea. It would be good to research into that. I wonder if incorporating specific exercise routines like high-intensity interval training shiite can improve the delivery of oxygen to tissues, potentially bolstering the immune response and contributing to better disease resistance against Corynebacterium diphtheriae.
It would be nice to find out how line codes can correlate with the development of C. diphtheria strains and their behaviors. This could mean that CBT strategies could be more targeted and effective, leading to a more personalized approach to mental wellness.
All right, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the importance of personalized sleep and circadian rhythm interventions for optimizing human-computer interaction, the implications of the BRIT1, MCPH1, G2M checkpoint function, and some potential future research directions. It's all interconnected, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the key takeaway is that sleep is not just a luxury, it's a fundamental human need that is essential for our cognitive function, our mental health, and our overall well-being.
And by prioritizing sleep and creating environments that support healthy sleep habits, we can improve our lives and build a healthier, more productive society. It is time for everyone to start taking responsibility.
Thanks for joining us on the Vitality Equation today. Remember, prioritize your sleep and listen to your body's natural rhythms. Until next time.